Welcome to the Girl Gang. I'm Katrina Gardner of Katrina and Create.
And I'm Dominique Goyette-Connerty of Evergreen Marketing. On this show, we're going to chat with women business owners in Massachusetts and those who support local women in business.
Because girls don't just want to have fun. They also want to sell real estate.
They want to open a brewery.
They want to teach others to invest in the stock market.
They want to take stunning photos, plan lavish parties, and help people recover from injuries.
Girls just want a podcast.
What can we say?
We're girls.
Welcome to Girls Just Wanna in a new and improved location.
Look at us. We're in a new spot. We've got new digs.
We are coming to you live. Well, definitely not live by the time you're watching this. We're coming to you from Fuel America on Grove Street.
Yeah.
You may remember our friend Nilu owns this cafe, and she has the newly opened Grove Village Market as well next door. She has this beautiful conference space within the cafe that's available for rent and for workshops and meetings and podcast recordings. And when we heard about that, we were like, well, let's try it out. So
Yeah, here we are. We like it. It's cute. We don't have to lug around a backdrop with us anymore, which we had been doing. So things might be a little bit different, but we're excited.
Bear with us these first couple episodes maybe while we
Yeah.
feel out our new kind of home base here.
Yeah, and we'll now be here all the time, so you can come visit too, because we absolutely love this coffee shop. It's our favorite in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a great throwback to, if you didn't listen to the episode that we did with Nilu back in June, maybe? It was a long time ago. You should scroll back and find her.
Yeah.
Because that was right when she had just opened Grove Village Market. It was right after their soft launch. It was before she even did a hard launch.
Yeah.
So you should go listen to that episode, learn more about her. Come check out the space if you haven't.
Yeah.
And
It's so cute. I was in there yesterday, and she's got these little care packages.
oh yeah, I saw those.
Those are really cute.
Yeah.
So it's cute. It's a cute little bodega off of the coffee shop, and I also just love all the food here.
Yeah, and I'm drinking their coffee in a Girls Just Want a mug, of course.
It's the best collaboration.
What was I going to say? And if you're like me and one of your 2025 resolutions or goals is to shop small and support more local businesses, then start here.
Yeah.
Maybe do fewer Starbucks runs.
Yeah.
And come to Fuel Grove Street instead. Things like that. I'm working on even small changes.
Yeah.
Because people like Nilu are actually members of the community and care about me.
Right. And as we know, it's not easy for small businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never easy, but it's been really hard lately. So yeah.
So we hope to see you around here. We're so excited to be here. And that's it.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, new setting, same podcast, same us.
Yep. Should we bring in our first guest of the new space?
Yes, let's do it.
Awesome.
All right, welcome to Girls Just Want a Podcast. Stephanie Ramey is the owner of the O Shop. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you, actually. Even though I see you on social media and everything all the time.
You feel like you're so connected
Right.
still, but no, it's time is just cruising by.
Yeah. We met almost 6 years ago now, which is insane. You were at the time head of DCM, Discover Central Mass, and I was a little bitty intern at the organization that shared an office space with you. So that's how I first met Stephanie, and since then I think she's done literally everything. Literally every other job possible. So now we're circling back, have her on the podcast. So for people who don't know, let's start with just a brief overview of what the O Shop is.
Sure. So the O Shop, it's located on Richmond Avenue, Worcester. It's a size-inclusive boutique. We focus on high-quality products, specializing in band sizes. So we just introduced 28 bands, so 28 to 48, and cup sizes A through O.
Yeah.
So we've got a really healthy range, and we specialize in professional fittings. You know, put a lot of emphasis on customer service. It's more of like sort of a concierge service, I suppose you could say, in a lot of ways, because we really work with the client. We bring them into the fitting room. We identify things that work for their specific body type. So it's been an incredible business, and really has made an impact, I think, for a lot of women in the Central Mass area and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did the O Shop first open now?
So what is it? It was July 2021. So it was still in COVID, which was like crazy to think about that. Like, you know, there's still masks being worn, and you know, but I think that was a really creative period for a lot of people. For me, at the time I was running the Worcester Railers. We had lost our hockey season, still worked full time, but just being a person who works 1 million hours a week and is very social, I kind of needed my own sort of escape and project. And so I think in that time of creativity, the O Shop sort of came to mind, and you know, I followed through with it and actually launched a retail business during a pandemic, which was a little bit, I guess, risky. But
And how did you land on the Tatnuck neighborhood area? How did you land where you are?
So I'm one of those people that I just think you sort of follow the cues in the universe, right? Like you don't go against the tide. When things sort of continuously fall into place, you just roll with it, right? And so the idea for the O Shop, every day I would bump into someone that would be supportive of it, like that would help me. I could sit at Elm Park and there would be a business attorney next to me who was like, let me help you set up an LLC. And it got to the point where I was looking for an apartment for my brother-in-law, and I thought what is now the O Shop was an apartment. It's a Victorian property. I didn't realize that once upon a time it was a salon. I pulled over thinking I was going to call on his behalf. And I ended up meeting the landlord and found out it was a commercial spot, and it was just one of those things that, again, it just, you get to a point where you're like, you're in or you're out.
Right, you can't ignore the signs anymore. It's like everything is being pushed your way. You're like, all right, I get it, thank you.
But it is, exactly.
That's funny. So you've been there now, so since July 2021?
Yeah.
So coming up on 4 years.
Yeah.
Crazy. You know, as we mentioned, like you've lived 1,000 lives, a multitude of lives.
Yes.
Right, so you've been in sales, you were in tourism when I met you. Like you said, you were running the Railers hockey team. Now you're working for Rucker Investments. Like, what in your right mind? Why would you just be like, let me get into the retail arena as well? Like, what pushed you into that?
So it was kind of started out as a joke. You know, I'm a heavy reader, and I don't know if it was Boston's Business Journal, but it was a business journal during the pandemic. And I read an article about products and industries that were doing really, really well during the pandemic. You know, I remember talking to someone who was in the cosmetic surgery industry, and they were booming because people were looking at themselves on Zoom. Right? And so one of the products, it was adult intimate products. They were skyrocketing. People were home. You know,
Sure.
So it made sense. And it started out more as a joke, sort of within that realm, with one of my best friends. In the article, it broke down that females were actually the #1 consumer of those products, which I thought was very surprising, because stores that were oriented, you know, towards intimate products are very male dominated, right? Like, you know, and thinking about women in menopause and products that sort of help them in their sexuality, it was hard to believe that women would want to walk by like a blow-up doll going to you know, a store, and could they actually have the conversations? So that's kind of where my mind went early on with the stores. Could I create a space that was safe for women, you know, in that regard? And what I learned really quickly, although that's very important, there was a huge need specifically for size inclusive, everyday basic wear. So I think the store was meant to start out a little bit like sexier and sassier, maybe than it is today. I think it's been interesting to see the evolution and the progression of the store, because if you had told me in July 2021 that I would have moms taking their middle schoolers for a bra fitting at my store, I would have thought it was crazy. But that's just really where the need is. And so although we offer a limited selection of those intimate products, it really is probably 10% of our focus. And really, it's the bra fittings that dominate the business.
Yeah, I was mentioning that before we started recording, that I went there probably just right after you guys opened, being like, I walked in, I was like, I want a bra fitting. I've been breastfeeding for the last 8 months. I have no idea what bra size I am. Like, I knew what I had been wearing before I had a baby, but I knew that wasn't correct, because I'd known enough about bra sizing that what we're told is not really accurate in terms of bra sizing. So now I was like, I want something that's comfortable, but better than the nursing bras I've been wearing, and I was able to get fitted with bras that I still have now, 4 years later. You know, just, it was such an incredible experience for a new mom being like, stuff has been happening up here, I don't know what it is, and I need help, like, being comfortable and also feeling confident and all that stuff.
And we've had at least one guest that I can think of come on our show and shout you out as one of the women-owned businesses and said the same thing. Like, after I had my first kid, like, I had no idea.
Sure.
So I went into the O Shop, amazing. They just rave about the customer experience.
Yeah.
You know, your complimentary bra fittings, I think, have really been what have become, I guess, a defining point of the O Shop, or at least a huge selling point from what I've heard. Can you talk about that and like how important it is and why it's such a like main pillar of the business?
Yes. I don't know at what point in history, and it was before, you know, my lifetime, that women just stopped going to get a bra fitting, right? I think historically it was like a rite of passage, right? Like you sort of entered that phase of womanhood, and it was just something that you had done. And it just kind of dissolved away. And I don't understand why. I don't know if it's linked to sort of the whole Victoria's Secret movement and all of that crazy stuff. But the reality is now we have, I almost have everyone that comes in, they're in the wrong size. And it's usually off pretty significantly. I think we're educated because of that sort of movement to think that bras stop at D. Right. And we have this association with like a D cup. And it's, oh my God, like, you know, such a voluptuous size.
Right.
But there's a whole alphabet that extends beyond that. And so what's happened historically, one, there's a lack of education. Women don't even understand how should a bra fit, right? Like, how snug should it be? You know, why does a centralized gore, the middle part, have to lay flat? What happens if you have soft breast tissue, right? And all of a sudden, you're gapping at the top, and you're like, it's just my body. But it's not. You know, there's a whole sort of world of bras and lingerie that is meant to fit each unique body. And you shouldn't have to be comfortable with the idea of gapping or discomfort or, you know, bad posture or any of those things. So what we do, we invite women into the shop. I think it's a really sort of low pressure, welcoming environment. And really, you know, we work to not only get their measurements, but to also assess, you know, what is their actual body type? How do they carry? Are they narrow set? Are they wide set? You know, if they've breastfed, are they dealing with soft breast tissue, and how is that affecting them? And then through sort of just education and a lot of experience, you know, we introduce women to bras that work for them. It can take, you know, a few tries initially, just for the fitter to get an idea of what really works well. Not only what physically fits them, but mentally what they're looking for, right? How do they feel when they're wearing this? And so it takes about 45 minutes on average for your first fitting. We recommend women come back in every 8 to 12 months because your body can change drastically during that amount of time. But it's your foundation. It makes your clothes look better. It boosts your confidence. We invest in a lot of things, and I think it's very important that women know that they should be making an investment in their lingerie and not really settling for things that just aren't serving them.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, like I was also talking about earlier, I'll go to conferences and I want to look nice and put together. One of my things that drives me crazy is when you can see like the double lines in the bra on the back. And it's so easy to be like, well, it's because I, you know, should lose X number of pounds, when that's not really the case, you know? And it goes with that education that you were saying, and there should be the right fit.
Yeah. I think I've been very surprised, I guess not surprised, because, you know, women have so much to deal with, and I think their self-esteem and their perception of themselves has always sort of been an area, like every woman seems to deal with a little bit of you know, concerns. I'm too big here, or I'm too small there, or, you know, but it's been really interesting for me to see how hard we are on ourselves as women. I mean, it's rare that I get someone that confidently sort of comes in and is really comfortable. You hear "I'm sorry" all day, and that's heartbreaking, right? And so I think from my lens, you know, working at the O Shop and being around all of these women, one, it's made me much more accepting, you know, of myself and sort of owning who I am and what my body type is. But, you know, I feel like there's almost a layer of, you know, counseling, you know, within this. It's a really emotional experience for a woman to go and get a bra fitting. It's very vulnerable. So we really make an effort to make sure that, you know, we're supportive and, I like to think that most women leave the shop feeling, that much better about themselves.
Yeah, better than when they came in.
Absolutely.
At least. Yeah. And it's not just you who works there. You have a few employees, right?
Yeah, I have great staff. Lisa is my head fitter. She's been with me from the start. And Tam. Lisa worked at Lady Grace and Nordstrom's fitting. She's been fitting for probably 35 years now.
Wow.
She is like 72 years old and feisty as heck, and rocks her leather heels when she comes in. But
She's definitely who fitted me.
oh yeah, curly hair, like yeah.
Never forget.
Yeah, Tam worked with me at UMass a lifetime ago. And I've had most of my staff has retained or sticks around for a while. I usually have 2 college students who are on rotation. I just had 2 sort of graduate out with their master's degree and heartbreakingly left me, but to pursue great things. But I have a great staff. I can't say enough about them. They're all different in personality, but all kind, warm, welcoming. And I think they all very much enjoy working there. I think that's important because, again, you don't want to have that person who's just like, I got to clock in now.
Right.
I think it's a job that makes you feel really good about yourself because you're making a difference.
Yeah.
There's something to say about, a woman who has been wearing, the wrong size significantly off, and all of a sudden, like, you see their face light up when, they're in something that fits them properly. And you feel like you've helped someone sort of accomplish something, that's good for them. So it's an uplifting experience for us as fitters, and I think it's an uplifting experience for our customers.
Yeah. And, we've talked a lot about bras, which is, I think, a major part of the business at the O Shop, but it's not the only thing that you sell.
Yeah.
You kind of cover, like, just about anything I
Sure.
feel like that women are looking for. Can you talk more about the other offerings?
Definitely. So all forms of lingerie, shapewear for special occasions. We see a lot of brides coming into the shop. Super cozy pajamas. I'm getting ready to go on vacation myself, and I just went shopping at my store last night. This brand Softies. It's like just heavenly fabric. Also have adult intimate products. So very limited selection, but a very curated selection of, pH balanced lubricants, especially, where we talk to a lot of women who are going through some physical changes and find those products necessary so that they can have, positive and healthy sexual experiences.
Yeah.
And we try to create a safe opportunity for them to have those conversations. Some vibrators and stimulators, again, like with the consultant of a sexual health coordinator who we had consulted in. But it's really a great place for, everyone to come in. Anyone that has a female or someone who wears bras in their life, it's a great place to get a gift certificate and to give an experience. Because it's not just go in and shop for yourself. It's you're being treated, right? You're being pampered. You're being sort of tended to as an individual. And I think customer service and retail, in a lot of ways, outside of small business, it's just been lost. So I think people are very surprised when they go through that process of someone actually bringing you items, right? And sort of tending to your individual needs.
I love that idea, too, of what you just said of, like, it being an experience, like a pampering.
Oh, yeah.
Treat yourself by coming into the O Shop. Because my next question sort of is, here we are in 2025, and Amazon runs everything, and Walmart and Target and all these big box retailers, and one click, add to cart, 2-day free shipping, la la la. What is it like being, and we talked about opening in the pandemic, and I'm sure things have changed since then too, but what is it like being a small boutique retailer, in-person shop? And I know you sell online too, but how does it like differentiate you? Why would your customers come back to you? And I assume it has something to do with the customer experience, and the customer service. What makes people come back to you when they could order a cheap, flimsy bra off of Amazon or whatever? Is that difficult?
Well, I mean, I think the education on things like different types of bras in the U.S. in particular, we've got this idea that bras are sort of t-shirt bras, right? Like what you see, on TV. It's just foam cup t-shirt bras. And so for us, it's a lot of education, right? Because to be quite honest, when you think about a contour or a molded cup bra, you as the individual have to fit the mold. And so that's a really backwards approach as opposed to something that's unlined, for example, has elasticity to it, fits your body instead of you having to fit this preset thing. So I think by the time women come to us, they're very lost, or they're overwhelmed, or they've had a bad experience in a big box store, and so it's just, I think, eye opening. I think it's really eye opening when you go from something that is just so off, and all of a sudden you experience something that feels right. Word of mouth is huge with us. Mom blogs, Mountaineer Mamas, like I always like to shout out because I feel like they've kept my business in business. It's sort of the power of like the mommy network. But I think when you look at a store like mine and the average size, which is very normal, you wouldn't question this person walking down the street is a 36G. And that's you say wow, but
I didn't even know
everyday
because
you're
growing
everyday
up.
lady.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, it's a 36C, which it's like no one has
and
ever
like you said before, like, oh, it's A through D or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't even know until I was looking at the O Shop's website the other day. I was like, there's such thing as an O cup.
Oh yeah.
And I'm in my mid 20s. Like, come on now. I'm a grown adult. Like, I should know these things.
I mean, that is a normal everyday, like, that's your friend walking down the street, right?
Crazy, yeah.
It's so. I remember the first time I think before I got fitted, I was trying to figure out my size online and Googling. And you can measure it yourself at home. And I texted like my mom and my sister, and I was like, oh, it turns out I'm like I forget the band number, and then like a G, and they were like, no, you're not.
No.
And it's like, no, I was. But we're just like, not educated on this subject.
So what ends up happening, and I see it all the time, is, and this is just the way bras work, when you go up on the band, the volume of the cup goes up too, right? So the reality is we see a lot of women with band sizes that are way too large, right, to compensate for the volume of the cup, right, so that they can stay in that D world, because that's all they know. And then what ends up happening is the band rides up, the goods in the front go down, and now you're contributing. Obviously, it's not healthy for your breasts, but you're also putting tension on your shoulders, right? Like everything, like just completely, you're just not getting that support. So there's a lot of education in the sense that your band should be really snug. A lot of women come in and they're like, oh my God, this is so tight. It's educating that you need, if you're supporting, weight of your breast tissue, you need to get that support from your band. That's the heavy majority of what's actually giving you that support. You shouldn't be getting that tension and pull on your shoulders. So it's hard to do that online, right? Like, I don't care what virtual tool is out there or whatever. It is very difficult to get a sense of what's going to work on your particular body type. Most of our online sales are repeat customers. They've already bought this bra. It's coming out in a new color. They're familiar with the product. And that's kind of like how we keep it, because otherwise the returns would be through the roof. And what we don't want to see, you could buy the wrong size on my website, and now you're like, this bra is terrible. It's not the bra. It's just not the bra for you. And so I think there's a place for specialty shops, and that's what we are. We are providing a very personal service for people that I just don't think can be replicated online.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of this personal experience, when can people come in and see you in person and get their fittings done and get all this education from you?
Yeah, so we are open Tuesday through Sunday, 11 to 5 every single day, except for we do 12 to 6 on Fridays, so that we can stay open a little bit longer. 10 Richmond Ave in Tatnuck. We've got a parking lot behind. You would drive by us a million times and wouldn't even realize we were there unless you were looking for it. It's like we're at the Victorian home. It's like shopping in someone's beautiful walk-in closet. It's very pretty and pale pinks, and I'm very proud at sort of the aesthetics and how it carried over. It's just, I've never met someone that's come in and hasn't been like, wow, this is a surprise. It is. Like, you walk in and you're like, I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect it to be like this.
Love it. So we like to end every episode allowing our guests to shout out another, woman in business, woman-owned business. Do you have anyone in mind?
I do. I actually talked to her today. Carrie Callahan Boudoir. She is wildly talented in West Boylston. And actually, if you go to my website, theoshop.com, most of the images that you'll see were shot by Carrie. So she came in, and actually, I was very surprised, but most of my employees, when we were doing a shoot, they were like, can we be involved?
Yeah.
And again, I have a really awesome, diverse group of employees. So Carrie made them all feel incredibly welcomed, calm, confident, and every single one of them, you know, just glowed when they saw their photos, right? Like from, you know, college students that I've had into, you know, Lisa. And it's just uplifting. I think it's one of those cool experiences that if it works for you personally, you know, it's worth, you know, giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
pleasure.
It was great to
Yeah.
see you.
Absolutely.
We've learned so much. Can't wait to come by the shop.
Thanks so much.
All right. It's time for Heard It or Hate It.
Hard it or hate it. Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
Apple Pay.
Heard it.
Okay, I'm gonna go hate it. Do you remember when we were at Redemption Rock right before they were closing?
Yeah.
And there was someone in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, I have seen that. So what happened was Katrina was like in line and someone in front of her had ordered something and then was like, went to pay with Apple Pay. They were like, oh, sorry, we don't have Apple Pay. And I guess the guy was like, oh, well, I literally don't have any other form of payment on me. So,
And they're like, oh, sorry.
yeah.
And
I was just thinking to myself, who walks around with literally only Apple Pay?
yeah.
That is so, my anxiety could never.
There has been a time that I forgot my wallet and I was like, oh shoot, but I had my watch on and I was like, wait, I can still pay because I did have
and
Apple
that's so
Pay.
convenient.
So that's like
If a place
the
does have Apple Pay.
accurate.
But I would never walk around with only Apple Pay
Yeah.
and then be like, oh, you don't have Apple Pay? Well, then I can't pay. Like, what?
So you hate it?
I've never used it actually.
Okay.
I just recently added my card to Apple Pay. Because I got a new credit card and it like prompted me on my app if I wanted to. And I was like, okay. And I still haven't used it.
I will say I am like old where I can't tap any form of payment ever. Like
I don't know how to do it.
I try to tap my card. I can't get it to work. It's not for me.
I also just like don't really trust it. Also, for the longest time, I didn't have like Venmo either for the same reason. I just was like, it feels so weird paying with my phone.
Yeah.
It's like not right.
Yeah. Well, you're good with your money, so you're like you're critical in a good way. Whereas I'm just like easy and convenient. Like let's do it.
I'm like, that's nice, but I just can't get over. I mean, there have been times too when I've like been in grocery stores. People are like, oh my god, I forgot my wallet.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, we have Apple Pay. And the person was like, oh my god, I think I have Apple Pay on my phone. And it like saved them in that instance.
Yeah.
Great. But the other way around, where you walk around with just Apple Pay expecting everyone else to have it, I'm just like, what?
That's risky.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know, maybe 2025 is the year where everybody accepts Apple Pay. We'll find out.
Possibly. Yeah.
We'll find out.
We're getting there.
All right.
Mine is Heard It or Hate It self-help books.
I don't know. I guess Heard It. I've definitely read a few.
Okay.
And there are some that I was like, that sucked.
Yeah.
I just was like, I didn't get it. It's like a motivational speaker, but via book.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what did I really just get from that? I know that's rude, but
Did we talk about this on the podcast that I got one? Or did we just talk about it one-to-one? But I got a self-help book for Christmas. I read like the first 5 pages.
oh, yeah, I think you told me about this, but no, I don't think it was on the podcast that
Yeah.
we talked about it.
I haven't picked it up since then. So I think when I add this to my list, I was going to be like, I would have said hate it a year ago, and now I say heart it. But I think I'm actually still hate it.
Yeah.
I've never read one. I don't know. If I'm good, I honestly would rather probably do like audiobook version, so almost do it like a podcast and consume it that way instead of reading. Yeah, I don't know. I do think that there are great ones out there. I'm sure that there are.
I don't know. I haven't read one in a long time.
Yeah.
The few that I read, I remember a couple of them liking, but I've definitely never read one that like changed my life, that I could tell you what the title is today and be like, this is when I read it and I decided I was gonna.
Mm-hmm.
No, none of those.
The one that I'm reading right now is called The Lazy Genius, and it's about just trying to help people like me that don't have their life together, like figure out how to prioritize like the things that are important to prioritize, and then like letting go of the things that you can be lazy about. So be a genius about the important things, be lazy about about the unimportant things. I love the concept. She has a podcast. I'm in like a Facebook group. Like it's really helpful to like hear the community like give advice and suggestions to people, but book is not really keeping my interest the same way, you know, all the horror thriller books I've been reading lately keep my interest. So
Brutal.
yeah. So I guess I'll say hate it.
Yeah, I think I said hearted at the beginning, and now I'm just like, meh.
You're like, heart is way too strong.
Heart is way too strong.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go hate it. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really read them.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That's like one of the only times I feel like I've changed my answer in the moment.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, hearted or hated, air fryers.
Never used one.
Katrina.
I know. Like a year ago, Jesse and I were like, we're gonna get one.
This needs to be part of your lazy genius
It should.
lifestyle.
It should.
It makes it so much easier.
Does it?
I think so.
Okay. That's what I've heard.
I just think also like food tastes better when it comes out of the air.
I guess I just don't really cook that much good food anyway. I just am usually cooking like frozen foods or foods in a can.
Do you know how much better it would taste from an air fryer?
Yeah, okay.
Like,
Heating up those dino nugs.
oh yeah,
in an
dino
air
nugs
fryer.
way better in an air fryer. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'd never dino nug in an oven or
Okay,
my
do you keep it out in your kitchen?
Oh,
or
yeah.
it just
Yeah,
stays
it
there?
lives- It's one of those appliances that lives on my countertops.
Okay.
I have other, like my toaster. I was thinking about getting rid of my toaster.
You don't
actually.
keep your toaster out?
No,
Interesting.
I don't. I maybe use my toaster like 4 times a year.
Oh, I actually do use my toaster every day for Jamie's breakfast waffles.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use it enough, and I feel like everything that I make in a toaster I could make somewhere else anyways.
Yeah.
So. Like an air fryer.
And I'm trying to eat breakfast this year, 2025, new me. And I've been having bagels that I do in my toaster. But yeah, I mean, I heart the idea of an air fryer. I just haven't used one yet.
Yeah, love my air fryer. There was a short time when I was without an air fryer, like a couple weeks in between moving. This was years ago. And basically, like, I hadn't finished unpacking everything, and then I did, and then there was, like, issues with the electricity, so, like, I didn't have, like, a hookup in the kitchen for the air fryer. Like, I didn't have a plug anywhere.
Sad.
And so I, like, at one point was air frying on the floor of my living room, like, chicken nugs, because I had just moved and there was nothing else to eat. And I was like, wow, can't wait for this air fryer to have a permanent home in the kitchen.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Love
it's been on my list, but it hasn't been high up on my list, so maybe I should
Farted.
reprioritize it.
All right, what's last?
Athleisure, like athletic leisure, like, you know, like the branded, like, this is athleisure, but it's really just, in my opinion, comfy clothes that is acceptable to wear out and about.
Hearted, I guess.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you put it that way with the brand of like athleisure. I almost never think of that.
I know.
I mean, I work out, and so those are my athletic clothes.
Yeah.
Right? And then like I have pajamas and sweatpants, and those are like my leisure clothes, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then also, if I'm going anywhere, I guess I mostly wear my leggings that I wear to the gym. Like if I have to like run errands or
Right.
whatever, like I'll wear leggings. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I guess that's athleisure, right?
Yeah, because I don't really work out currently. And I don't really wear, like, athleisure out, but I want to. Like, I need to find something in my wardrobe right now that's, like, looks nice, is comfortable, that I can, like, wear out grocery shopping. And the reason why I put this on here is because I really had to stop myself from purchasing a whole bunch of clothing at Target. If you
do it.
If you walk into Target, there's this like new like special like setup, like a pop-up or whatever, and it's these really cute like, and I would consider it athleisure, and it's these like workout dresses, but it's not even like a tennis dress.
Oh my god, those I can't even. I find those to be so unrealistic.
But there was this like jumper, like this jumpsuit that I thought looked cute. Not that I would wear it to work out, but I would wear it like around the house.
Okay, and then when you have to go pee, you have to be completely naked.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much work.
I am a jumpsuit kind of gal. I like jumpsuits around.
If anything, I would say buy one and see how you like it.
Well, I was gonna buy it, and Jamie
Like,
was
don't buy
with,
17 in every color and then be like, meh, you know what? Not really my thing.
Jamie was with me, and I was like, oh, look at this, and he's like, yeah, for mommy. And I'm like, yeah, for mommy. But then it was $40, and I was just like, how often am I really going to wear this? And I am trying to shrink my wardrobe, so I did not buy anything.
Good for you.
Yeah.
All right, well,
That's it.
that's it for Heart It. I guess, did I say Heart It to that?
I don't even know what I said. I think I heard it.
We just moved right along. I was like, forget it. I mean, I think I'm a Heart It on that one. But
Yeah.
I don't really consider it athleisure. Like, I have leggings, and then I have sweatpants, and, like, I wear them, and that's about it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I'm going to say heard it. And that's what we got for today.
Yeah. First episode in the new venue.
Love it.
All right, we will see you next week with another episode. Later, ladies. Bye.
Welcome to Girls Just...
Did we decide on no pillow? Cheers to 2025. Let's hope we're not making a big mistake.